During the reign of Emperor Gaozong of the Tang Dynasty, Wu Zetian was elevated to the status of empress, and alongside Gaozong was referred to as the Two Saints. She began to take part in state affairs, which was met with strong opposition from the ministers as it was against ancestral customs. At that time, a neighboring country invaded. Wu Zetian, demonstrating her resolve, immediately dispatched a fleet of 100,000 naval troops to confront the enemy. However, shortly after the fleet set sail, they encountered massive waves. It was rumored that a sea monster, elusive and mysterious, had caused the near-total destruction of the fleet. When news of this reached Luoyang, the superstitious populace believed that the fleet had angered the Dragon King of the Sea. They spared no expense in their efforts to appease him, even going so far as to prepare a famous local beauty for sacrifice to calm his wrath. This caused an uproar throughout the city. Upon learning of this, Wu Zetian was furious. She did not believe the story about the Dragon King and ordered Wei Qi Zhenjin, head of the Dali Temple, to solve the case within 10 days. One day, Luoyang was bustling with people. The renowned courtesan Yin Ruiji made a grand appearance at the Dragon King worship ceremony. Newly arrived in the city, Di Renjie, on his way to report to the Dali Temple, couldn't help but glance at Yin Ruiji. Soon after, while passing through an alley, Di Renji noticed a group of suspicious individuals communicating in lip movements. From his knowledge of lip reading, he learned they were planning to abduct a respectable woman and sell her for a high price. Di Renji did not confront them immediately. Instead, he first reported to the Dali Temple. While completing his paperwork, he reviewed the city map and deduced that the robbers were headed to the Dragon King Temple to kidnap Yin Ruiji. He informed his colleagues, urging them to send men to the temple to prevent the abduction. Grabbing a Dali Temple badge, Di Renjie rushed to the Dragon King Temple. His haste alerted his future superior, Wei Qi Zhenjin. By now, the robbers had already infiltrated the temple and drugged the incense, rendering everyone unconscious. The leader of the robbers easily captured Yin Ruiji. Just as he was about to kiss her, Di Renjie arrived. Realizing the incense was drugged, he quickly wet a cloth and covered his nose and mouth. A fight ensued, but outnumbered, Di Renjie was eventually overpowered. The leader of the robbers kicked him, sending him flying and trapping him under a large cauldron. As the bandit leader was about to leave with Yin Ruiji, a terrifying monster emerged from the nearby lake. The fierce creature brutally killed the bandit leader and grabbed Yin Ruiji, rushing toward the lake. From under the cauldron, Di Renjie witnessed everything through a small gap. Seizing an opportunity, he lifted the cauldron and chased after them. By this time, Wei Qi Zhenjin and his men had arrived at the Dragon King Temple. The remaining bandits were no match for them and were quickly apprehended. Meanwhile, Di Renjie realized the monster had not harmed Yin Ruiji. He continued the pursuit and eventually rescued her from the lake. Hearing the commotion, others came to assist. Di Renjie identified himself and informed Wei Qi Zhenjin that the bandits and the monster were two separate entities, both attempting to kidnap Yin Ruiji. Suspicious by nature, Wei Qi Zhenjin doubted Di Renjie's story and questioned why he possessed a Dali Temple badge. Though Di Renjie explained he had borrowed it, he was still thrown into the dungeon. Yin Ruiji was sent to Yanzi Tower to recover from her ordeal. Wei Qi Zhenjin suspected a connection between this incident and the case of the Dragon King's fleet destruction. When Yin Ruiji regained consciousness, he questioned her about the details of the attack. She, however, claimed to be too traumatized and unwell to respond immediately, promising to speak another day. Anticipating another appearance by the monster that night, Wei Qi Zhenjin decided to stay at Yanzi Tower. Meanwhile, Di Renjie faced trouble in prison. During his confinement, he noticed a medical worker at his tasks. Di Renjie, demonstrating his impressive memory, called out the worker's name, Sha Tuozhong, and accurately recounted details of his background, including his unspoken love for a neighbor. Impressed, Sha Tuozhong listened as Di Renjie explained their need to escape. When officials came to interrogate Di Renjie, he suddenly feigned a severe illness, convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Sha Tuozhong convinced the guards that Di Renjie had contracted a plague and needed isolation for treatment. This was part of their plan to escape. Curious about how Di Renjie knew so much about him, Sha Tuozhong asked, Renjie revealed that he had studied recent Dali Temple records before his arrival and saw Sha Tuozhong's name on the duty roster thanks to his photographic memory. Persuaded, Sha Tuozhong agreed to help Renjie. Claiming to seek advice from the imperial physician, they left the Dali Temple. At that moment, the monster had already entered Yin Ruiji's room. Terrified, she shivered at the sight of the yaksha-like creature. However, the monster did not harm her. Instead, it pointed to a name on a painting, indicating that he was Yuan Gongzi, Yin Ruiji's love interest. She couldn't believe that the elegant Yuan Gongzi had turned into such a monstrous figure. The monster couldn't speak and had to write to explain the situation to Yin Ruiji. Just then, footsteps were heard outside. The monster pulled Yin Ruiji up to the ceiling beams to hide. Meanwhile, outside, Weiqi Zhenjin was battling a group of masked men. The masked men were numerous and elusive, making it difficult for Weiqi Zhenjin to fend them off. Some of them managed to break into Yin Ruiji's room. Yin Ruiji accidentally fell from the beams, but at that critical moment, Renjie and Sha Tuozhong arrived just in time to save her. They extinguished the lights and hid Yin Ruiji behind the door before engaging the masked men. During the fight, one of the masked men's masks fell off, revealing their face momentarily. In the ensuing chaos, they threw deadly shurikens, indicating they were skilled in ninja techniques. Renjie dodged quickly, but the masked men escaped via the water. Weiqi Zhenjin wasn't as fortunate. Two masked men released a swarm of wasps, forcing him to jump into the water to avoid being stung. There, he encountered another masked man, and the two fought fiercely. The masked man, adept in swimming, nearly strangled Weiqi Zhenjin to death, but Renjie and Sha Tuozhong arrived just in time to save him. Renjie then went upstairs to question Yin Ruiji for clues. Just as he began to suspect her of lying, the yaksha-like monster attacked him. They wrestled, and in the confusion, Renjie managed to entangle the monster with a painting. Just as the monster was about to be subdued, Yin Ruiji attacked Renjie from behind, helping the monster escape. However, when the monster tried to kill Renjie, Yin Ruiji intervened, threatening to kill herself if the monster didn't leave immediately. Strangely, the monster obeyed her. Elsewhere, the masked men were reporting the night's events to their ruthless leader, Huo Yi, who, enraged by their failure, killed one of them in a fit of anger. The next morning, Renjie reported back to the Dali Temple. Weiqi Zhenjin also brought Yin Ruiji to the temple. With Weiqi Zhenjin's explanation, Renjie was formally accepted into his new role. Yin Ruiji, now trusting Renjie, revealed that the monster had not harmed her and was likely Yuan Gongzi, the young master of the Qingxin tea house. She admired Yuan Gongzi's calligraphy and had fallen in love with him. The previous night, the monster had brought a keepsake, a hairpin, to Yin Ruiji, which she and Yuan Gongzi had exchanged as a token of their affection. Suspecting that Yuan Gongzi was in trouble, she implored Renjie to save him and handed over the writing from the monster. Renjie reported this to Weiqi Zhenjin. After careful examination, they realized the monster had written the words "sparrow's tongue," a type of tea exclusively produced by the Qingxin tea house for the imperial palace. Suspecting a connection between the tea house and the case, they hurried there, only to find it abandoned. The teapot was still warm, indicating the occupants had just left. It was evident that there was a traitor within the Dali Temple. To avoid attracting attention, Renjie asked Sha Tuozhong to take Yin Ruiji away. Although they lost the lead at the tea house, Renjie made a new discovery. The hairpin the monster had brought to Yin Ruiji had traces of dye on it. Coincidentally, there was a dye house named Yi Yuan Jai near Yanzi Tower. The three of them headed to the dye house, with Yin Ruiji as bait, while Renjie and Sha Tuozhong stayed nearby. As expected, the monster appeared. Using a prearranged trap, they quickly captured the creature. Upon examination, Sha Tuozhong found that the monster was human and had been transformed due to poisoning. However, he did not know how to cure the poison and sought help from his master, Physician Wang. Renowned for his skills, Physician Wang successfully detoxified the monster, restoring him to his original form as Yuan Gongzi, who could now speak. Yuan Gongzi explained that a wealthy merchant from Dong Island named Huo Yi had approached him recently, offering a large sum to buy the recipe for Sparrow's tongue tea. Since the tea was exclusively for the imperial palace, Yuan Gongzi refused. A few days later, Yuan Gongzi's appearance changed dramatically. Huo Yi had poisoned him during a moment of inattention. Yuan Gongzi, frightened, handed over the tea house, hoping Huo Yi would cure him. Instead, Huo Yi imprisoned him on an island, forcing him to produce tea in large quantities. Besides Yuan Gongzi, a giant beast was also held captive on the island. One day, Yuan Gongzi escaped during a lapse in the guard's vigilance and freed the beast, which was likely responsible for destroying the warships. Due to his altered appearance, Yuan Gongzi could not return home and had been hiding ever since. The suspicion arose that everything was due to Sparrow's tongue tea. They examined a sample of the tea from Physician Wang's collection and discovered it was indeed poisoned. The toxin was colorless and tasteless, initially strengthening the drinker, but ultimately lethal over time. Di Renjie realized that if the royal family and court officials were consuming this tea, it could cripple the entire government. At this point, Weiqi Zhenjin was anxious as the deadline for solving the case approached. Di Renjie wrote a note, arranging to meet Weiqi Zhenjin in the courtyard. After discussing the situation, they decided to seek an audience with Empress Wu Zetian late at night. Di Renjie informed her that someone had poisoned the tribute tea. Skeptical, Wu Zetian found it hard to believe such an absurd claim. Di Renjie offered a remedy developed by Physician Wang, suggesting they test it. Empress Wu summoned a tea-loving minister to drink the antidote in front of everyone. Though the taste was unpleasant, the minister willingly drank it, eager to please the empress. An hour later, the minister showed no signs of change. Furious, Wu Zetian accused Di Renjie of deceiving the court and ordered his execution. At the crucial moment, Sha Tuozhong and Yin Ruiji arrived at the execution ground. They explained the situation to Empress Wu and pleaded for a little more time. Empress Wu was unmoved, and just as Di Renjie was about to be executed, an elderly eunuch rushed in to report that the antidote had taken effect. Everyone hurried to see and found the minister sweating profusely and vomiting several worms. Empress Wu immediately summoned the court officials and had them all drink the antidote. Impressed by Di Renjie, she appointed him as an imperial envoy to find the true culprit behind the case. Di Renjie decided to take the officials from Dali Temple to capture the people from Dong Island. Before departing, he lit an incense stick, claiming they would leave when it burned out, as it was an auspicious time. In reality, Di Renjie intended to flush out the traitor among them. Sure enough, the traitor took the bait and sneaked out the back door to inform the Dong Island people. Weiqi Zhenjin intercepted the traitor, and a fight ensued. Although the traitor was not highly skilled in martial arts, he was adept at ninja techniques and managed to escape. The traitor reached the dock and alerted the other Dong Island people to flee, releasing a giant beast to hold off their pursuers. When Weiqi Zhenjin and his men arrived, they were attacked by the beast. The small boat was overturned, and the dock was destroyed. They finally realized that it wasn't the Dragon King of the Sea attacking the warships, but the beast released by the Dong Island people. With the beast's help, the Dong Island people managed to escape. Empress Wu was determined not to let them go unpunished and ordered Di Renjie to attack their stronghold. With Yuan Gongzi's help, Di Renjie identified the stronghold on a map, an island named Bat Island. To be prepared, Physician Wang made a special pill to deal with the giant beast. Once ready, Di Renjie led his team to Bat Island. At that moment, the Dong Island people were preparing poison. Di Renjie and his team launched a surprise attack. Their leader, Huo Yi, turned out to be the masked man who had attacked Weiqi Zhenjin earlier. The Dong Island people harbored deep resentment towards Tang due to their involvement in conflicts with the kingdom of Baekje and wanted revenge by poisoning the Qingxin tea house's tea. When Yuan Gongzi refused to cooperate, Huo Yi poisoned and controlled him. Unexpectedly, Di Renjie found their stronghold and confronted them. With no other choice, Huo Yi fought desperately, but was ultimately captured by Di Renjie and Weiqi Zhenjin. As they prepared to return to Luoyang, they encountered the giant beast at sea. The beast was incredibly powerful, capsizing 2 warships. Fortunately, Di Renjie was prepared and used the pill made by Physician Wang. successfully subduing the beast by throwing the pill into its mouth. Thus, de Rengier solved the case of the Dragon King, uncovering the truth behind the attacks.